Do you ever feel like fear and anxiety have a grip on your life, holding you back from reaching your full potential? You're not alone. In fact, you're probably facing the exact challenge that most people struggle with every day. But here's the truth. What if I told you that the ancient Stoics had a solution for this, and it's not what you think? It's not about fighting your fear or trying to suppress it with positive thinking. No. Stoic wisdom teaches you to face it head-on, embrace it, and use it to become stronger. This isn't your typical self-help advice. In this video, we're going to dive into some controversial but incredibly practical Stoic principles that will show you how to take control of your fear rather than letting it control you. So if you're ready to finally stop letting anxiety dictate your decisions, stick with me. We're about to break down some powerful, actionable tools that will change the way you think and live forever. Don't blink, because this is the game-changing perspective you've been waiting for. Number 1. The power of voluntary discomfort. Embrace daily suffering. You want to know the secret to conquering fear, anxiety, and even that nagging sense of inadequacy. It's simpler than you think, and it's probably not what you're expecting. Brace yourself. Voluntary discomfort is your new best friend. Yes, I know. It sounds counterintuitive, right? The last thing we want in a world full of stress is to add more discomfort to the mix. But trust me, this unconventional strategy works, and here's why you should give it a shot. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Why would I voluntarily put myself in uncomfortable situations? Isn't the goal to avoid discomfort? Here's the thing. We spend so much time running from discomfort that we make it bigger, scarier, and more powerful than it actually is. But if you can train yourself to step into discomfort intentionally, you start to realize that it's not as terrifying as it seems. In fact, discomfort is a powerful teacher, and the more you embrace it, the more resilient you become. You've been there, haven't you? You've felt that heart-racing anxiety before a big presentation, that unease before a difficult conversation with a loved one, or even that dread before making a major decision. We've all experienced the tightness in our chest, the thoughts spiraling out of control, and the constant urge to avoid the situation entirely. We all have those moments when we wish we could just take a break from life's challenges. But what if I told you that embracing these moments could be the very thing that helps you conquer them? Here's the thing. Voluntary discomfort works because it trains your brain to recognize that discomfort is just a feeling, not a threat. Let me break it down. Imagine waking up early to take a cold shower. Sounds terrible, right? But you do it anyway. And guess what? You survive. In fact, after a few weeks of doing this regularly, your body starts to become more accustomed to the cold. Your tolerance increases. And here's the kicker. The next time you face a stressful situation, whether it's a challenging meeting or a tough conversation, that discomfort doesn't feel as paralyzing because you've learned how to handle it. You've built resilience. Let me share a real-life example. A few years ago, I decided to challenge myself to spend 10 minutes a day doing something uncomfortable. For me, it started with cold showers, but I quickly moved on to things like walking into a crowded cafe and sitting alone, or making a phone call I'd been avoiding for weeks. It felt ridiculous at first, almost like I was punishing myself. But slowly, something shifted. One day, I had to give an impromptu presentation at work. Normally, I would have been filled with dread, but instead, I felt calm. The discomfort, it was there, but it was familiar. I had been training my mind to handle it. And I didn't just survive, I thrived. The real magic of voluntary discomfort is that it teaches you to detach your worth from how comfortable you feel. You begin to realize that your value doesn't hinge on avoiding discomfort or seeking constant pleasure. Instead, your worth is tied to your ability to rise above whatever life throws your way. And that's an incredibly empowering shift, It's about reclaiming your space, your peace, and your dignity. You stop running from fear and instead you stare it down and smile. So, if you're ready to stop living in fear of discomfort, start small. Make it a daily habit. Whether it's taking that cold shower, tackling a task you've been putting off, or engaging in a tough conversation, lean into discomfort. Do it not because you enjoy it, but because you're stronger than it. And when you do this consistently, you'll find that not only can you handle discomfort, but you actually start to crave it. Why? Because you'll realize that every time you face discomfort, you're not just surviving, you're becoming the person you were meant to be. Embrace discomfort, your peace, your confidence, your growth. They're all waiting for you on the other side. The next time fear or anxiety knocks on your door, open it. You've got this. Number 2, the art of radical acceptance. Stop fighting reality. What if I told you that the key to peace of mind isn't changing the world around you, but changing how you respond to it? Yes, you heard me right. The secret to reducing stress, anxiety, and frustration often lies in one simple practice: radical acceptance. Sounds a bit intense, right? But trust me, it's more freeing than you can imagine. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, okay, that sounds like some airy-fairy advice, hear me out. It's not about giving up. It's about letting go of the constant need to control everything. Now, you've probably been there, caught in a spiral of overthinking. You know the type. You get stuck replaying the same problem over and over in your mind, wishing things were different. It's like trying to push a boulder uphill, knowing it's never going to stay where you want it. We've all been there, and no matter how hard you try, it never seems to get any easier. You try to force your way through life, trying to control every outcome, and all you get is more frustration. But here's the thing. What if that boulder wasn't something you needed to move? What if instead of pushing against it, you simply let it be? That's where radical acceptance comes in. Radical acceptance is the art of saying, this is the way things are right now, and I accept it. It doesn't mean you like the situation or that you're giving up, far from it. It's about recognizing that reality is what it is, and instead of wasting energy fighting against it, you choose to stop resisting. It's like getting caught in the rain. You can stand there, drenched in frustration, wishing for the sun, or you can just accept the rain and keep moving. When you fight what's already happening, you only make yourself more miserable. So why not try the opposite? Accept what you can't change and focus on what you can. Let me share a quick story with you. A few months ago, I was dealing with a situation at work that felt completely out of my control. A project wasn't going the way I'd planned, and every plan I came up with seemed to fall apart. I was stressed, anxious, and frustrated. I wanted to fix it all at once. But after days of feeling like I was banging my head against the wall, I realized something. The more I fought the situation, the worse it became. That's when I decided to practice radical acceptance. I let go of the need to control the outcome, and instead I focused on what I could do in the moment. I accepted that things were messy and imperfect, and that I didn't need to have everything figured out. The result? I actually felt more at ease, and surprisingly, solutions started to come to me effortlessly. The beauty of radical acceptance is that it frees up so much mental energy. When you stop fighting reality, you start conserving that energy for the things you can change. This isn't about becoming passive or indifferent. It's about freeing yourself from the exhausting cycle of trying to control the uncontrollable. Imagine how much lighter you'd feel if you didn't feel the need to constantly explain yourself, justify your actions, or argue against the way things are. Radical acceptance means reclaiming your peace. It means letting go of the weight of expectation and allowing yourself to just be. Here's the thing, life will always throw challenges your way. And sure, It's tempting to resist, to wish things were different, or to fight against the flow. But if you can embrace radical acceptance, you'll find that your peace doesn't depend on perfect circumstances. Your peace is something you choose, even in the midst of chaos. So, the next time life doesn't go your way, try this. Take a deep breath, accept the reality, and trust that you don't have to change the world to change how you feel. Because in the end, your peace, your space, your serenity, they're yours to claim. And when you stop fighting, you'll realize just how much strength there is in simply accepting. Number 3, the visualization of worst-case scenarios. Fear the fear itself. Imagine for a moment that you could face your biggest fears head-on, without flinching, without hesitation. Sounds like a superpower, right? Well, here's a truth bomb. You already have that power. It's all about visualizing the worst-case scenario. Yes, I know, this sounds a little counterintuitive. Wait, so you're telling me to imagine the worst thing that could happen? Trust me on this one, because doing so is actually the key to eliminating the paralyzing fear that holds you back. Now, you might be thinking, why on earth would I want to focus on the thing I'm trying to avoid? And I get it. It sounds almost wrong. Who wants to dwell on the worst possible outcome when we're trying to avoid anxiety? But here's the twist. The fear of something is often far worse than the reality of it. When we imagine worst-case scenarios, we build up all this mental drama. Our minds turn it into a beast that we simply can't tame. But when we actually visualize that worst case, we see it for what it really is. A situation that, yes, might be uncomfortable, but not insurmountable. You've been there, right? The anxiety before an important meeting, an exam, or maybe just a tough conversation with a friend or family member. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and your mind races through 1,000 what-ifs. What if I mess up? What if they hate my idea? What if they judge me? We've all been there, caught in that whirlwind of negative thoughts. It's like trying to run a race with an anchor tied to your ankle. The pressure of the unknown makes everything seem so much more dangerous. But what if I told you that the anchor is just your imagination running wild? Here's where the magic happens. When you mentally prepare for the worst, you actually disarm the fear. It's simple, but profound. Picture the worst-case scenario for that meeting, that presentation, or that awkward conversation. Really go there. Imagine it in detail. Maybe you mess up your words, or maybe the conversation goes off course. It's uncomfortable, sure, but now that you've seen it, something amazing happens. You realize that in reality, it's not that big of a deal. Sure, it might sting for a moment, but you won't crumble. You'll survive. And in some cases, the worst-case scenario might even turn out to be not that bad. Let me give you a real-life example. A few months ago, I had to make an important presentation at work. I had all the classic fears. What if I forget what I'm saying? What if I look foolish? What if I bomb this whole thing? But instead of letting these fears dictate my actions, I decided to practice what I preach. I visualized the worst-case scenario. I imagined myself forgetting my words, stumbling through the presentation, and feeling awkward in front of the room. It was uncomfortable to picture, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized I could handle it. It wasn't the end of the world. So I walked into that meeting with a completely different mindset. I wasn't scared of what could go wrong anymore because I had already faced it in my mind. And guess what? The presentation went smoothly, and even if it hadn't, I would have been fine. The power of visualizing the worst-case scenario is that it takes away its power. It takes that massive, overwhelming fear and shrinks it down to a manageable size. It's about recognizing that you don't need to avoid discomfort or uncertainty. You need to face it, understand it, and own it. And once you do, fear loses its grip. This isn't just about preparing for the worst. It's about empowering yourself. When you stop running from fear, you begin to reclaim your confidence. You stop second-guessing yourself. Instead of giving in to the anxiety, you look it in the eye, smile and say, "I've got this." And that's the secret to truly overcoming fear. It's not about eliminating it. It's about accepting it and learning how to move through it with grace. So the next time you feel that anxiety creeping up, take a moment to visualize the worst-case scenario. Don't run from it. Don't shy away. Walk right up to it and stare it down. You'll realize that you're not as fragile as you thought. You're stronger than you ever imagined. And when you do that, the fear, the anxiety, and the uncertainty, they all lose their power over you. Your space, your peace, your dignity, they're yours to claim. And nothing, absolutely nothing, will take that away from you. Number 4, the role of indifference. Stop caring so much. What if I told you that the key to peace, confidence, and freedom in your life isn't caring more, but actually caring less? Now, before you start thinking I've lost my mind, hear me out. This isn't about being cold or distant. It's about realizing that not everything deserves your emotional energy. Yes, I'm talking about the power of indifference. Sounds a little radical, right? But trust me, embracing a healthy dose of indifference can be the ultimate game changer when it comes to your peace of mind. You've been there, stressed out over every little thing that doesn't go your way, constantly worrying about what people think, obsessing over how you're perceived. The what-ifs start piling up. What if they didn't like my comment? What if I offended someone? We've all been there, caught in that loop of overthinking. You want to be liked, respected, understood, and, let's face it, it gets exhausting trying to maintain everyone's approval. You're bending over backward to please, second-guessing yourself, and never truly feeling free. But what if you didn't have to care so much? What if you could let go of that constant need to be everything to everyone? Here's the radical truth. Indifference doesn't mean apathy. It's not about being indifferent to life, to your passions, or to people who truly matter. It's about choosing where to direct your energy. When you learn to stop caring about things that don't serve you, like other people's judgments, petty drama, or unrealistic expectations, you open up space to truly invest in what does matter. Indifference, when used correctly, is a shield that protects your mental health. It's not about avoiding life's challenges, but about deciding what you let affect you. Think about it. If you cared less about the noise, you'd have more bandwidth for the things that truly deserve your attention. Let me give you a real-life example. A few months ago, I found myself stressing over a situation that really didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. A colleague at work made a snide comment about a project I was working on. It wasn't a big deal, really it wasn't, but I let that little remark get under my skin. I spent days thinking about it, wondering if I'd said the wrong thing, if I was doing a poor job, or if I had somehow offended him. My mind spiraled, and I wasted a ton of energy on something that wasn't even worth it. Then I realized I was taking it way too personally. I decided to practice indifference. I let go of the need for validation or approval, stopped obsessing over that one comment, and focused on my own work. I didn't need anyone's affirmation to feel good about what I was doing. And you know what happened? I felt lighter, less anxious, and oddly more confident. I was no longer carrying that unnecessary weight around. The beauty of indifference is that it doesn't just free you from the small things, it empowers you to focus on what truly matters. You stop wasting your energy on things that drain you. You stop seeking approval, and you start prioritizing your own peace of mind. By not caring so much about every little hiccup, you give yourself the space to breathe, to grow, and to thrive in your own way. This isn't about being callous. It's about being selective with where you invest your emotional energy. You can care deeply about the important stuff, your relationships, your passions, your values, but that doesn't mean you have to care about every trivial thing or every person who has an opinion. And here's the best part. When you stop caring so much, you give yourself the freedom to be authentic. No more pretending, no more pleasing, just you, unfiltered and unapologetically yourself. That's where true power lies. The more you embrace indifference, the more you reclaim your space, your peace, and your dignity. You stop looking for validation outside of yourself because you realize you're enough as you are. So next time you feel yourself getting overwhelmed by someone else's opinions or an insignificant worry, take a step back and ask yourself, does this really deserve my time and energy? If the answer is no, then let it go. Let it float away. You'll be amazed at how much lighter you feel, how much more at peace you are when you stop caring so much about things that don't matter. Your peace, your space, your dignity, they're yours. And nobody, absolutely nobody, can take that away from you. Number 5, the power of solitude, silence. Your inner critics. Imagine having the ability to turn down the volume on that incessant inner critic that never seems to stop whispering doubts and fears into your ear. What if I told you that the secret to peace, clarity, and genuine confidence lies not in trying to silence everyone around you, but in embracing the power of solitude? Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is another spend time alone and everything will be fine kind of advice, hear me out. This isn't about just being alone. It's about creating a space where you can actually hear yourself without the endless barrage of negativity. You know the type. The kind of thoughts that jump in when you're about to make a decision, try something new, or put yourself out there. You're not good enough, they say. What if you fail? What if people laugh? We've all been there, right? That nagging voice that questions your worth, your abilities, and even your dreams. It's exhausting. And the worst part, we listen to it way too much. We start doubting ourselves before we even try, all because of the noise inside our own heads. But what if, just for a moment, you could learn to tune that noise out and choose your inner voice instead? Here's where solitude comes in. I'm not talking about isolating yourself from the world for weeks on end. I'm talking about intentionally carving out moments of quiet in your day. Moments where you can sit with yourself and just be. It's in those moments of stillness that you get the space to detach from the loud opinions, both external and internal, that often drown out your true voice. When you silence the distractions, you create room for clarity. You get to ask yourself, what do I really think? What do I really want? It's only in that silence that you can truly hear your own wisdom. Let me give you a personal example. Last year, I found myself stuck in a cycle of doubt and self-criticism. I had a big opportunity to speak at an event, something that terrified me, to be honest. The inner critics were having a field day. You're not experienced enough for this. What if you mess up? They'll never take you seriously again. I was paralyzed by fear, but then I decided to take a step back. I spent an afternoon in complete solitude. No phone, no distractions, just me and my thoughts. It wasn't easy at first. My mind raced with all the things I should be worried about. But as I sat there slowly, the noise started to fade. I began to recognize that most of my fears weren't even my own. They were just echoes of societal pressures, expectations, and past insecurities. In that silence, I found the strength to quiet those voices and trust in my ability. And you know what? I spoke at that event, and it went far better than I had imagined. The truth is, solitude allows you to separate yourself from the opinions and judgments that often make you doubt your worth. It's in those quiet moments that you reconnect with yourself and remember what you truly want, not what others expect or what your inner critic tells you. This is where emotional empowerment begins. When you silence the noise and truly hear your own voice, you reclaim your peace. You stop second-guessing yourself and start making decisions from a place of calm confidence. You stop allowing the inner critic to dictate your actions and begin to trust that you're capable, worthy, and enough just as you are. So, here's the empowering takeaway. Next time that inner voice starts criticizing you, drowning out your clarity and confidence, take a step back. Embrace the power of solitude. Find a quiet moment, clear your mind, and let the silence drown out the chaos. In that space, you'll discover your strength, your peace, and your own voice. And when you learn to silence the inner critics, you begin living from a place of self-respect and authenticity. You don't need to explain or justify yourself to anyone. Your space, your peace, your dignity, these are yours to protect, and no critic, internal or external, can take them from you. Thank you so much for watching. I truly hope you found today's video helpful and insightful. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel and lets me know that this content is resonating with you. If you want more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on future wisdom for living a more empowered life. And hey, if you know someone who could benefit from these Stoic strategies for overcoming fear and anxiety, share this video with them. Let's spread these powerful tools to as many people as possible. I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts or personal experiences with fear and anxiety. Have you tried any Stoic practices? What has worked for you? Let's build a community where we can all learn and grow together. Remember, fear doesn't have to control you. You have the power to face it, learn from it, and rise above it. Keep embracing these Stoic principles, because every step you take toward conquering your anxiety is a step closer to living a freer, more fulfilled life. Stay strong, and I'll see you in the next one.